How to start a private practice. If you're looking at starting your own business, starting a private practice, well, you've come to the right place. That's what we're going to talk about.
As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights.
So when it comes to starting private practice, pretty much universal for all types of practices, whether it be law practice, coaching practice, health club, whatever type of practice you're working on. And the reality is that there's 4 basic steps. But first, you need to define what is the education and the legal requirements for you to start your practice, number 1. Number 2, what is the niche that you're going to be fulfilling? What is the area that you want to go into? Number 3, how are you going to identify how others are solving it? And how are you going to make your value prop unique? And then 4, how do you build a launch plan to achieve it? So first off, let's talk about what are the different regulations, requirements is going to be. Obviously, if you're an attorney, well, you've got to go to law school and you have to pass the bar. There we go. If you're a counselor, it depends on state to state. In some states, you don't need to have a license. In other states, you have to not only have a license, but you may have to work for 2,000 or 3,000 hours underneath somebody else and pass certain tests to achieve it. For certain types of coaching, you don't need anything. You can just decide you're going to be a coach. But in other places, it really changes from municipality to municipality. When I say municipality, what I mean by that is a city or your location. So I would check, and where you can check is pretty easy. You can go online and look at the Secretary of State's office and look for what they require. Now, a simpler way of doing this would be to start to talk to others who are already in the industry. Talk to other people who are doing it and see if they have any suggestions on what they're doing, and if they have suggestions for you on what sort of regulations, what sort of education, what do you need to get from that. Once you start to understand what those things are, that's going to help you start to build your timelines and roadmaps. So I've worked with people who've transitioned from one career to a completely new career. And in some cases, it may take years. I worked with actually my wife. It took her 7 years to transition from being an accountant in the UK to a couples and family counselor here in the US. She had to go through and get her education transitioned to the US. Then she had to apply and get into graduate school, go to graduate school, graduate, do her internships, come out of graduate school. Then she had to work for somebody else for 3,000 hours of supervised work. Then she was able finally to launch her own practice. Sounds like a lot of hoops, but the reality is, for her, she's over $200 an hour now that she bills, and she works about 20 hours a week. So she does pretty well. She has a very productive practice, but she's only working about 3.5, 4 days a week, which is really fun. So first off, go through and define what are the rules and regs that you need to do. Start figuring out what is the plan that you're going to do to achieve that. The second is going to be defining what is the niche that you're looking for in your private practice. There's a huge variety of niches, and I like to say that the riches are in the niches. I'm not the first one to say that, but the idea is that whatever you're choosing to practice, whether it be coaching, law, counseling, anything, the more niche you can be, likely the more successful you're going to be. And I would encourage you to start and step back and actually look at your life on a holistic level and define where are the areas that you're excelling, what are the things that you like doing, and how is it you can apply those things so that it impacts and drives success in other areas. So let me give you an example. I happen to be very, very good at helping people grow their businesses, but my wife and I weren't able to have kids, and I still want to have an impact. And I really like helping people figure out what is a well-balanced life and how can that work. So as a result, in my practice, a lot of the coaching work that I do is with senior leaders, and it's helping them to develop a holistic approach on how they can look at life and success in a different way. Now that doesn't appeal to everybody, but for ones it does appeal to, it seems to work fairly well. Another example is I have somebody that I work with who, she's a coach, and she's an endurance athlete, but she's also a mom. And she's chosen to help other moms who want to become endurance athletes drive to become better and stronger at that. But she understands mom speak, but she also understands endurance. So in that area, she has a focused niche on where she's going. So once you start to smoke out the ideas of what you're thinking about and the direction you're looking for, and where it is, then what's the niche you're looking for, then I'm going to encourage you to take the next step of start reaching out to existing places where people are solving this problem. Talk to other people that are practicing the same type of thing. Now, a lot of times people are resistant to this. They're like, well, they're a competition. I don't want to talk to my competition. And I'm going to encourage you to try and reframe that thinking, because the most beautiful sound that an entrepreneur can ever hear is their own voice. And if you come up and say, look, I'm interested in getting into the business that you're doing, and I'd love to hear your feedback and any thoughts, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, those people are going to be more than willing to invest a little bit of time with you. Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee, or could I come see you, or do you have time for a chat on the phone? Have your list of questions set up, but start asking questions so that you're respectful of their time of, hey, help me understand, what have you done that worked and what did you not do? True entrepreneurs will celebrate where they failed. They'll be very open and willing to share. They'll talk about areas that, well, I used to do this, but now I don't do that. Okay, why? Be curious. Try and look and see what you can find out from these people as much as you possibly can. And a lot of times, as you keep driving down this, if you start to connect with this person, you may even go so far as to say, hey, do you ever have people that you refer out that you don't want to work with? Yeah, sometimes they're too small for me, or whatever it may be. But it may be an opportunity for you to actually even get leads. Now, you may hear people say, oh yeah, I did this, took insurance, but I hated that, so now I do this in this way. Or I only take insurance because it's really easy and these are the processes and systems that I use behind that. Now, I'm going over this really high level, but in my book, The Aspiring Solopreneur, or on our course at aspiringsolopreneur.com, we go through very, very specifics, all the questions that you need to ask so that you can very safely vet these ideas at virtually no money before you actually get ready to launch your business. Now, in other videos, we actually talk about the mechanics of what's it take to build and define, what is the structure, what do I need for insurance, what do I need, how do I find the right bankers and attorneys and things like that. And with this, as a result of those things, you actually create your roadmap. But it's a very step-by-step process. Most people think that if you're an entrepreneur, you're diving into the deep end, it's all or nothing, and about half of them all fail. Well, half of all entrepreneurs do fail, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's the primary reason I wrote that book, why I do these videos and why we have that course. Because when you're looking at how do you start your own private practice, you can go through and test that and vet it and very, very, very safely choose to say, wow, you know what, I got this. I know with a 90% chance for success that I'm going to be good. And you can very safely transition into that. But you're going to go into it with your eyes wide open. And this is where, whatever it is, the fourth thing here is making sure that you build a really quality roadmap, that you have a clear line of sight to know what it's going to take for you to be successful. So with this, if you have questions, we'd love to answer them. You're welcome to reach out to us at aspiringsolopreneur.com or leave a note here in the chat below. Subscribe, check out some of the other videos. But if you have questions, reach out. Keep smiling.